Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who kept us going for 313 episodes.
313 episodes, my God. We're old hands in the podcast game now.
I guess so.
A couple people have tweeted me being like, hey, starting at the beginning. 300, I was like, you will never be alone on a trip ever again. Like, you're going to do a 14-hour flight somewhere to visit family or whatever the fuck for the holidays. Don't worry, man. We're going to be right in there.
Yeah, like an earworm.
I did a humping motion. I never thought in a million years I'd be that guy.
You know, it's funny because I was like, I'm going to say, we've been around for a while, but we still haven't gotten any CEOs to smoke weed on our our podcast yet.
Fair. Anyway, if you're interested in becoming a patron and supporting this madness...
That's how you know you've made it.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, once Spotify offers you $100 million, I guess that's really when you know you've made it. Or when you can smoke weed on a podcast and not have any negative things happen to you, I guess. But if you're interested in supporting that in any way, check out patreon.com/YoVideogamespodcast. Due to the week is Mneon Advance. Mneon_Advance.
Thank you, Mneon.
I didn't fuck that up, I swear.
Yeah, I mean, he actually, I don't know, he had a question that I guess was kind of directed towards me.
Yeah, no, I thought it was kind of interesting.
It's a good question, but I don't have a good answer for it. And it's basically like, hey, if you're like me and, you don't either can't or don't want to or whatever, be, you don't
drink.
Super indulgent in alcohol, like, what's a good, alternative? And the thing is like, okay, I don't really have a good answer for this.
Because you don't smoke either.
That's true. I don't. So it was kind of, for me, it was like when I was really young, I used to really enjoy mixing, non-alcoholic stuff. Starts when you're a kid and you remember what a suicide is?
Yeah. All the different,
just go down the whole row of sodas. But then I started like trying to get a little more refined with it and started to get a little bit more crazy, when I was in my teens. So I had this like you would have certain amount mixtures because this started, getting really in depth where like, I had a mixture of Gatorade, Frost, Glacier, Ice Glacier, whatever flavor, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, and it made sweet tarts. You have to have the right connection, which is like primarily Gatorade, and then like second be like a lot of Dr. Pepper and a little bit of Mountain Dew. And it makes
sounds gross.
And it makes something that, and it makes something that tastes like sweet tarts to everyone who tried it. Now, I'm not going to recommend that just because all those things are terrible for you.
Well, this sounds exactly like what my wife suggested is Mocktails. My wife was a bartender for several years, and she got really good at making mocktails for people who didn't drink but were with a bunch of people at the bar who did. And basically, that's just you're making yourself everything about the cocktail that everyone else is having. You're just leaving out the alcohol and maybe having something a little bit that tastes like the woodiness of alcohol or something like that. So you get the flavor, but you're not getting the alcohol.
It's definitely cheaper, I can tell you that.
It's a lot cheaper
when you're not, when you're not consuming alcohol.
The other thing about it is like if your friend, you didn't say this in your message or anything, but if your friends are giving you shit for not drinking, find a new friend group. I don't, you're sort of at the age where like that is a thing where like alcohol is important to social interactions. But like, I don't know, like around 25, nobody fucking cares anymore.
I have never, because with my friends, I've never been pressured. And then the only time I ever got pressured was at some holiday company party. And there was this guy who really wanted me to have a beer with him.
Come on, man, you're making me uncomfortable. Have a beer.
Yeah, he was like depressed about something. I don't know. He wasn't getting laid that night. He wanted to get laid or something. He wasn't
at a company thing.
It was
I know we're here for work, man. I just want to get my dick sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Please have a beer with me.
Yeah, so, he was like, it wasn't happening, so he wanted to have someone to have a beer with, and I was like, I'm fine with, Dr. Pepper, and I didn't even know who the guy was.
Yeah, that guy was an alcoholic. That's who that guy was.
Never saw him before in my life. Never saw him, again. So for me, it was always good. Like, oh yeah, no for you, no, nothing for you.
You can look up mocktails on the internet and learn how to make them really well, because you can actually, so if you don't enjoy alcohol, one of the ways that you can still be socially active is learn how to make cocktails. Make other people their drinks. You will be in the center of conversation if that's something that you want. You might not want that, but you can kind of learn how to be still socially connected to the group without having to drink anything. You're just
and if you want something
drinks.
that's like strong, but something that you can't, because most drinks you can just down, and for a lot of people, you want something a little bit more, that'll last a little bit longer. One, because for most people, alcohol is expensive, so you don't want to you don't want to power through it.
Not everybody wants to get completely smashed.
If you want a
every
drink
night.
that's good for sipping, because it's strong, look into ginger beers, not ales, ginger beers.
Oh yeah,
Jamaican ginger beer. Excellent.
What is it, Bundesliga?
But it's
or
very strong, and it comes in bottles. The Jamaican ginger beers, very, very, very strong. You're not going to pound through it. You're not going to want to pound through it, but it will be something that you can kind of like hold and sip for a while. So that helps.
Hopefully, you found value in that advice.
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, that as far as mocktails are great. I was actually hanging out with Mike recently. We went to a brewery and they had a couple mocktails, and
they're super common now. Yeah,
I was just having mocktails and he was having whiskey of some sort.
Yeah, if he was at his whiskey club or whatever that he's a part of.
Yeah.
No, that place is great. And it has mocktails. Mocktails are super common now. Like it's not, if you choose to give up drinking today, there's more support than there's ever been for it. Mm. Like you don't have to drink in social circles anymore. Whereas like even as early or as soon, recent as 20 years ago, like I can't think of a single event where like alcohol wasn't central.
I mean, as a personal rant, I've always kind of felt like if you need to be drunk at a social event,
you got problems.
I'm kind of wondering, like, do you know how to have a good time? Do you know how to enjoy yourself without being buzzed or drunk? And if the answer is no, I think you really need to ask yourself, some
that's what a lot
questions.
Of people that give that shit up.
Yeah,
say,
and if the whole group, and if you have a whole group of people like that, I think you kind of got to start to like question that whole group, because it's like this group doesn't know how to have fun or be, or enjoy themselves without being drunk or buzzed. And I'm like, to me, it's a red flag. To me, it's a red flag. Is being together the fun part? Is the games you're playing, the things you're doing the fun part, or is it just the alcohol? Because if it's just the alcohol, if the alcohol is the only thing that makes anyone happy, I'm like,
oh, but also like right around 30 is like when you start spotting the actual alcoholics in your friend group. Like where you really start. It's fucking weird, dude. Like
right. Well, because like you get down off the high of being young, and
it's
super
no longer like
energetic and party going. So it's like it's kind of like if you ever seen the Futurama episode with the Slurm guy, and he's like, I just want to go take a nap. Yeah. That kind of becomes everyone when they when they hit that point, and they're like, okay, I've partied out, now I just want to chill. And if the only way how to have a good time again is without
be blitzed,
is to be blitzed, then I'm like, you might want to talk to someone.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. Speaking of guys trying to get laid and not being able to, so they need to have a beer with somebody.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. But also, we have a sponsor that can maybe help you with that, maybe slightly, so that you won't have to go drink.
Well, we definitely have a sponsor that'll help you. No matter what way you go, you'll smell great doing it.
That's true. Yeah. No, I mean, we didn't bring the wipes today, which I actually used on my trip.
Well,
recently.
I believe the ball wipes,
same as the crop reviver,
are a more handy version of our crop reviver. Now, this is a spray, a little spritz. This is a pick-me-up.
Yeah, it's a quick one.
It's a spray pick-me-up version of this, which is the preserver, which is a lotion. Now, this is take on right after. Oh God, it's coming out.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
It grows just like your tree might grow this holiday season.
Your hands have that effect on people. You grazed me earlier in the car, and I just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
smells
whole car
great. Well, this is what you're supposed to do. Well, you're supposed to like rub it on your hands and then
apply it.
Then apply.
Worked the donuts.
But it's got a great smell, fresh eucalyptus is what I call it. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's pretty good. You remember when Mike thought you actually apply it with the tip of this?
Did he?
Yeah, you remember I tried to get him to smell it, and he was like, that's been near your balls. I was like, I'm not fucking rubbing it on, I'm not rubbing the bottle on my nuts.
You're supposed to rub it on the hands before applying liberally elsewhere.
Just dump it.
But
you've had a rough day in the woods, bud.
You thought it was like Cheese Whiz, you know?
Yes.
So, Cheese Whiz for your cheesy undergarments, but
damn it.
But yeah, you definitely don't want to have a cheese factory. You want it to be fresh and clean.
But they have new stuff. So they have the body wash and the shampoo, 2-in-1 shampoo, which is how you know it's designed for men.
Shampoo conditioner, which has a strand of my hair, came right off.
Yeah, did you clean your lawnmowers before you brought them over, or was there just hair? Is there now your ball hairs in my room?
No, if it comes with a little brush, you always clean it right after, right? Who's...
Yes, I do.
But anyways,
I definitely
as
do.
far as the scent goes, I just kind of want to point out, they're all kind of the same scent. All of the products, the body wash and
they're different levels of the same.
Yeah,
scent.
it's like different.
They're in the same family.
I guess same intensity or whatever. Anyways, if you want your ornaments to be the best hanging ornaments on your tree this year, go to manscaped.com.
Use code YoVG,
all caps, and save 20% off
and free shipping worldwide.
Yep. So. Thank you to Manscaped, and then you have a variety of products. You can get any one of these, or you can get these special bundles. One of the special bundles comes with a bag.
Yeah,
travel bag, which is actually very nice.
The performance package.
Performance package for your performance.
We don't have them here, but they do have lip balm, and I used them for a week. If you listen to the last episode, I talked about how I use it. I don't know. I used it for a week. I was in a drier climate. And I'm gonna be honest.
You were in an extremely dry climate.
So dry climate. I was in Nevada, and it was so dry that every time I touched anything, I was getting shocked. And at one point, I was leaving my hotel room, and I reached for the door handle, and I had turned off the lights, and no shit, it lit up the room with I was an inch away, and there was this zest, and I was like, motherfucker. But I had perfectly supple lips, like every true killer should.
That's right.
And it's not this. It doesn't taste like that smells. Thank God. But again, I'm not a big lip balm man. I just don't remember to have it.
Yeah. But some people they do like it, and some people.
I heard it gets addictive.
Lip balm?
Yeah, I heard applying lip balm gets addictive.
Can I tell you a really weird story?
Please tell me.
When I was very young, we're talking.
You had an oral fixation.
4 years old. No, that was in my 40s.
Yeah.
When I was
I'm ahead of the game, boy.
When I was about 4 years old, I remember being in a Target, and my brother, I wanted some chapstick because my mom had this cherry flavored chapstick, and my brother dared me to take a bite of it, and I did, and it was a huge mistake. And I remember my mom was pretty upset, but the punishment had already kind of been given to itself. When she saw this big goopy mouth of just gross cherry chapstick.
In high school, especially senior year of high school, but in college too. But I distinctly remember it becoming a thing in high school. You remember those egg chapsticks? It looks like egg. Every hot girl or popular girl had one, and was just and just every 15 minutes were just I remember that, and I recently saw they have now a zillion different colors with carabiners to clip it onto shit. And I was trying to think what made chapstick suddenly popular? What made it the cool thing? I realized it's useful. I realized that it feels
My brain
good.
Immediately went to blowjobs, but
Yeah, but I'm assuming not high school kids probably obsessed with blowjobs. But what made it
only high school
cool? Well, I'm saying that's when your hormones are fucking just firing on all cylinders. So yeah, I'm sure boys looked at it and were like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm into it. But what made girls be like, oh, chapstick's it's the cool thing?
Clueless?
You think, is it Clueless? Clueless had a lot of chapstick, or
maybe
lip gloss and shit like that and stuff. All that shit got really popular. Maybe that happens. Nobody in 8th grade is sitting there I got to keep my lips fresh. But then you get into high school and that shit matters all of a sudden. I always thought there's weird shit like that. It also became really popular to wear, girls would wear boys' shorts. they would wear the boys' version shorts. It became super popular like my sophomore year or something. Never figured it out. I was like, I don't understand it. Maybe just because like the girl shorts were too short.
Here's the thing. And it's
also every guy had long hair.
Clothing binaries are a human construct.
Sure.
At the end of the day, like I know people get weirded out by that, and some people get weirdly defensive about that. I'm like, well, yeah, but at the end of the day, just like time itself, it's all kind of just a meaningless,
Yeah, I don't care about that. What I'm more is like, I don't understand why it became like it didn't just like girls would just kind of wear it. Became like
fashionable,
cool to do it.
Yeah.
And I just always wonder, like, why the fuck?
Obviously, fashion has never made any sense to me. Obviously,
so
you are speaking a foreign language to me because, like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but I never got it. I never got it for anything.
Or like,
when we were young, we had crisscross, and they would wear their fucking pants backwards.
Wow. Okay.
Do you remember that? No, you were too young.
I don't. I'm just young enough.
So you don't remember the time where they tried to like make putting your pants on and wearing them backwards,
which didn't matter when you were wearing.
If you look at the gangster Bugs and Taz artwork, the shirt of Gangster Bugs and Taz from Looney Tunes, they're wearing their pants backwards in that artwork because that was the thing, at the time, as was the style at the time.
Wow. I'm thinking
it was
back
dumb.
on
I've always thought fashion is weird and makes no sense.
Cool things that were cool in like probably around senior year of my high school. Girls would like take the polo shirts that we had to wear and like use a scrunchie to keep them tighter.
Yeah.
That was like a fucking.
I remember that.
You had to be cool. You had to do that shit. Boys would wear like those sweatbands, but we'd wear them up here. Just in case. Just in case a little sweat, not on your wrist, but up here on your. Oh yeah, I had a Nintendo one.
Yep.
We'd also all wear like belt buckles, so it became like really popular. Probably my sophomore year to have like belt buckles and all that. Yeah, and so my junior year I started wearing a cupcake belt buckle because like they'd get so like.
Do you still have that? Because I remember you wearing it.
Probably somewhere. Yeah. But like there'd be like skulls and like skulls with wings and skin industries and fucking all this bullshit. Like everyone's so hardcore, and I was like, fuck it, and I started wearing a cupcake. And man, it made some people real uncomfortable. And then what was another one? There was some other shit that was just like, it became really popular, and all the boys had like long. You had long hair, but you couldn't do anything with it, so it would just be like shaggy bullshit, and you'd look so dumb. Like you look at pictures of me, I'm just like, what the fuck? But it was like the cool thing to do. None of that shit makes sense in hindsight. I'm old now. Like there's probably some bullshit that's cool right now that I'm just like, all right.
Okay, I gotta say this. For when I was driving down the street the other day, there was a high schooler at a bus stop, and he had the greatest shirt on. I almost wanted to ask him.
You wanted to roll down your window and be like, "Hey
yo,
man,
where'd you get that shirt?" And it was just a black shirt with white text that just said, "Shut up, Karen." I was like, fuck, I want that.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't be a dude rolling down the street, roll down your window, and yell something to a kid.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to look like Kevin Spacey over here or something.
But yeah, so we have a topic that, oddly enough, we're not doing a bingo topic for Game Awards.
You
did one already.
I did one on stream.
Cheating on me. With several people watching you. You slut. You whore.
Well, it's always weird to do a bingo for Game Awards because every company's there technically, or anyone could be there.
Yeah.
Except Konami.
That, and we're trying to get a little bit back more towards evergreen content.
Yeah, and the other thing too, so you kind of start talking about like general. Okay, what weird things? Is there going to be a Muppet skit that steals the show? Is there going to be some
getting
weird,
oddly specific in your bingo?
Yeah, like will there be some celebrity promoting a movie that really has no idea about video games and no other reason to be there other than for promotion?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves.
Obviously.
So,
I love Keanu.
Everyone loves Keanu. No,
I don't care what he's there for.
I don't think anyone has a problem with Carrie-Anne Moss. But it's like Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss being like, hosts or announcers for some award. I'm like, they're just there to promote The Matrix.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like,
and hopefully being paid really well for it.
Maybe whatever, not. And it's fine. But like the year they had Vin Diesel and
was
it Michelle Rodriguez?
I don't remember who, but it was definitely
It
Vin
was
Diesel.
the girl. It was Letty or whatever.
Oh, then it was Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, and she famously said Tekken, because they were promoting the Fast and the Furious movies and the game.
And she also loves
Tekken.
Oh man, just
Yep, the awkward celebrity promo tie-in. I do kind of want to say one thing. I'm kind of get on.
There is one piece of news we should talk.
Let's get this off our chest. And that is, there's been a little bit of a controversy going into the Game Awards because controversy
with Jeff Keighley,
with Jeffrey,
the cleanest man in gaming.
Right. So
no controversy with him.
First, it was like he made a statement to some interview saying he wasn't taking any sides on the Activision Blizzard incident. He just wanted to focus on the games.
Odd.
Which is, come on, that is taking a side.
Yeah, who didn't see that coming?
So it was kind of blowing up for a little bit. So he had to come out and make a statement, like late in the evening on like Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he was like, other than nominations, there will not be any Activision Blizzard, involvement in our show or whatever.
But he also went on, like, he actually full-blown tried to make, like, a statement.
Yeah, and then he had, like, follow tweets, like, replies to his own,
where he's like, oh, yeah, we don't support blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we don't support workplace abuse. There's no place for an industry. It's all about the game, yada, yada, yada. And as everyone keeps pointing out, and it's good that they are, but, is that his board, his committee for the Game Awards includes president of Activision.
Yeah.
President, people like, head honchos from EA, Microsoft, Nintendo, Rockstar, Yves Guillemot from Ubisoft, another person who's been hiding and covering up workplace abuse. It's a who's who of everyone in the game industry, including all the monsters.
Yeah.
Which, frankly, all of them are in some way.
The only statement the only thing that I'm going to comment on is that his statement only matters if he would have said it before the controversy.
Yeah.
Everything he said after they're not going to be there was just Band-Aids. So it's like...
And to me, it's like, okay, it's sure fucking easy to do that. Like... As much as bad as it is, it's almost too easy with Activision Blizzard because all they do is release Call of Duty. It's the only thing Activision makes now is Call of Duty content. And I was convinced because Warzone Pacific is launching that night that I was convinced there was going to be a launch trailer there. In fact, I think there was, and I think it got pulled.
Yeah, they'll just air it before.
Yeah, it got pulled, so they're going to be pre-show or whatever. So I'm pretty sure there was going to be a Warzone Pacific launch. It was on my bingo card, and I feel like it got robbed by all these people's outcry. So I feel like I had a bingo slot stolen.
In defense of Keighley, he probably gave up a lot of money killing.
Right. So here's the thing: is that what some people pointed out, some people know this, and some people a lot of people didn't. Is that if there was indeed going to be a Warzone Pacific launch trailer, that would have been something that was signed months ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Long time ago. It was, and he's probably in a contractual obligation because Activision Blizzard probably paid a good chunk of money to have that in there. And just because they're on the committee doesn't mean that, like, okay, all these companies have someone on the committee for the Game Awards doesn't mean they don't have to pay money to have their product advertised there.
No.
Like they're not it's not a free ride for these people. So they probably paid money. He probably signed a contract, and when all this shit was blowing up, he probably had to sit there and go, I either have to buy out the contract or I'm going to have to break the contract, which means I'll have to probably, I will pay a fine, and then he's even subject to maybe even legal.
This costs him money. Period.
It costs him money.
No matter what.
So he was probably hoping to ride it out, which is probably why he had that sort of fence-sitting non-committal statement. Well, we're not really here to focus on,
maybe
the bad.
Blow over.
Yeah. He thought it was going to blow over, and it didn't blow over, and it kind of blew up in his face because, frankly, anytime someone says, well, we're not here to make a statement or a stand on this issue. I'm like, you just did.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And Activision is getting, I know we've said this in the past, but like Activision probably isn't anywhere worse than any of the other places.
Ubisoft is probably quietly like dancing, around, going like, no one's talking about us
everyone's
anymore.
Passing off on that, like, well,
yeah,
we're not going to work
Ubisoft's
with
like, here's the torch, it's your shit now.
Yeah. So I think that's another thing is like Activision's taken all those hits, and Bobby Kotick hasn't stepped down yet, has he? Or
No.
I think he's going to.
Well, he's saying like I will step down, if I can't, if we can't fix the problems within a short amount of time, then I'll step down, but not until then. I'm like,
yeah, so if you guys forget about this, I'll keep going.
Right. And so a lot of people have just been like, well, why is the board putting up with this? Why is the board not like ousting him? Like, because the board is all the people, all his friends. He's been the CEO for over 30 years. Like, who do you think's in power and position there now? It's like, it's not people he doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's people he's made very rich.
So you're gonna see that that shit blow over, and he's gonna still be there. But it does lead into our topic, which is who would you like to see make Call of Duty game?
Yeah.
Who do you
not quite, but there you go.
Swingers. Well, it's an intro. It's a we more want to talk about
who
fighting
would I
games,
like
but...
to see make a Call of Duty game is a good question. id.
Really? Okay.
id.
Well,
Call of Duty is already arcadey, and I going even more arcadey is fine with me.
Okay, I'll buy
so
that.
I'm all for id doing it, like at least a campaign.
So we had talked about like Infinity Ward getting sort of like, well, I don't know if anybody heard that, but my dog is losing his mind in the backyard. But in Infinity Ward, is sort of breaking up, right? Like they lost.
No, Respawn.
Respawn, that's right. Well, they were born from Infinity Ward, right?
Yes. so the founders of Infinity Ward, form Respawn, and now they're getting kind of split a bit.
Yeah. So what is going on there?
That's a DICE thing. So that's EA.
Because DICE sucks balls.
Well, I feel DICE has probably just been spread too thin from EA over overreach, and Battlefield just keeps stumbling out the gate with every single release to the point now that EA is basically taking. I think Zampella from Respawn and being like, you need to come over here and fucking fix DICE. So the rumor is that the next year's Battlefield will be a hero shooter. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I don't really feel one way or the other. I don't know how Battlefield fans
this
feel
one
about
already
that.
is. They've already started.
I can tell you one
hero.
thing, and I've heard this from multiple sources of people. I think all anyone fucking wants is Bad Company 3.
Yes.
Yes. I've heard so many people, why don't they make Bad Company 2? Why can't they do something like Bad Company? Bad Company 2, Bad Company 2, Bad Company 2, Bad Company 2, Bad Company 2.
Bad Company 2 is great.
It's like this fucking weird, like, golden calf, like this fucking pedestal put game from, the 360 era. Everyone talks about how fucking great Bad Company 2 is.
Because it was fucking great.
And so all anyone ever wants is Bad Company, Bad Company 3. So, and I don't know anything about it, so to me, I'm just kind of like, look, all I ever hear is people want Battlefield, Bad Company 3.
Bad Company 2 had all the best modes of, Battlefield, but it had totally destructible environments, or if not totally, like, so close to total. By the end of the match, you could have just an open, flat wreckage field and everybody fighting because everyone destroyed every fucking building.
So a little Red Faction-y a bit.
Amazing. Like, I remember, I have this, like, amazing memory of fighting a tank in this like tight alleyway, and the tank is just rolling through buildings coming after me, and I'm running up into second stories shooting it, jumping out the window as the tank drives through the building to get to me. And they have to build momentum. They couldn't just drive through every fucking thing, but like they're blowing up buildings while I'm trying to escape and shit, and they're fighting ants and whatever. I also have this memory of staying like a mile off from the objective and just piling rounds through windows and blowing out the backs of buildings and shit. I mean, it really, truly was just the epitome. It was the best version they've had so far. And granted, I know that means that people have to admit that Battlefield 4 wasn't the best. It wasn't the best Battlefield because Bad Company 2 is right there. But Battlefield 4 was very good too. After a year,
I don't know. It's just one of those weird things where I'm just like, everyone talks about Bad Company 2, so I'm like, why don't they make maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they'll have not Respawn, but basically people from Respawn come in, and maybe they'll take the wishes of everyone I hear about and make a Bad Company 3. I think that's what everyone wants, and I think that's what they probably should do. And I don't know anything about it.
That's fair.
But for the rest of the episode, we were talking about Swingers. We're going Swingers. Well, who was in that movie? Not John Travolta. Jon Favreau? Who was in Swingers?
Jon Favreau and his like best friend, the other guy from Wedding Crashers. Why am I
Owen
blanking on
Wilson?
his? No, Owen Wilson is not.
Vince Vaughn?
Vince Vaughn, thank you. John Favreau and Vince Vaughn are like best friends, I guess, and they started
Swingers?
together.
I've never seen Swingers.
I think they're the two in Swingers.
I didn't know what Swingers was for a while when I saw that box. It was just him with like a martini, like, you know, on the cover.
Yeah, well,
and I'm like, well, it's Swingers, whatever. And then, like, you know, eventually one day someone told me, you know, what Swingers is. It's like,
I don't know if that's what Swingers is. I haven't seen Swingers,
okay,
so I don't know if Swingers is.
So we're talking
swinging.
about when we're talking about swinging, we're talking about, like, you know, swapping your partners here. So
yeah, not something I'm into, but you know,
yeah,
I'll watch it.
Some people definitely are into swinging.
Yeah.
We've heard about swingers parties. You know, never been to them. Unfortunately, no one invited me.
Yeah, I'm good.
I was never anyone's Craigslist fourth, or 14th.
Someday.
Or even the 14th on a Craigslist. But
at least we know you have dreams, I guess.
Right.
You know, plans for the future.
So yeah, we're talking about swinging, which basically means you take a beloved IP and then you take a developer and you switch partners. The easiest way to describe this is imagine Warner Brothers letting Capcom make a Mortal Kombat game, and imagine Capcom letting NetherRealm Studios and Warner Brothers make a Street Fighter game, which kind of technically sort of you could say kind of happened with Street Fighter the movie, the game, but either way, that's the general gist of it, is that we're swapping partners here, you know, like a Hollywood, you know, party. So Hollywood Hills party.
So much cocaine.
Maybe without that. Well, probably well with this.
Oh wow, you
the
look
way our
great
game
today. What's
industry is
going
now.
on, meth?
Anyways, and I'll start. Well, we kind of already did start it off.
Yeah.
Because we start off swingers. Swingers. Hey, who should Call of Duty get whored out to? And I say id.
I'll take it.
I would be particularly very, you know, make my pee feel real good.
I'm putting that on a
better
mug.
than a fresh shower and a coating of Crop Reviver.
This makes my pee feel real good.
Make my pee feel real good. It would be if Arc System Works.
Ladies, he's an excellent lover.
Would be if Arc System Works made not Injustice necessarily, but a WB game, or I'm sorry, a DC based fighter by Arc System Works
In that hand-drawn look.
Yes, but like let Arc System, you know, kind of go nuts with their style and character designs, and then just reimagine the DC roster.
I would dig that.
As an Arc System Work fighter. It could be a one-on-one a la Guilty Gear, you know, or Blaze Blue, or it could be a cross tag like, you know, Cross Battle or Dragon Ball Fighters. Either way,
I had the dumbest, like, it happened in a dream, and I have no idea why this happened in the dream, and I don't remember if I already told you about this, because it came to me, but it was like a week or so ago. Imagine a tag team fighter, you know, like with assists and stuff like that, but the roster is purely DC characters that have been in the Suicide Squad, and that's the whole premise of the game, is like Suicide... Like
so it's like Injustice with half the cast missing.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And tag team.
And just like super fucking brutal.
Like really gory brutal.
Yeah, like super gory brutal, like Mortal Kombat gory
you know what?
brutal.
That's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's just gonna happen
Good.
someday.
I don't know why I had a fever dream
WB's
about
gotten
that.
more and more comfortable with like R-rated DC stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously they had the fucking James Gunn movie, although it didn't really do super well, unfortunately. That's kind of unfortunate, really. Like,
because it was good.
Yeah, like the movie was really good, but like the problem is like right as they're about to they started to dip their toe in R-rated stuff, and they kind of misfired a little bit, you know, with I didn't see it, but the Harley Quinn movie, which apparently you could,
Birds of Prey?
Yeah, apparently it only exists in a PG. Well, it was an accident. I think they fixed it. For a while, they accidentally only had that TV edit version playing on HBO Max, and people were like, "What the fuck?" I distinctly remember this being already, and I guess they fixed it, but I don't even know they still did that.
That movie's not terrible. There's some really good moments.
Yeah, but it's like as far as like, okay, this is like our first big R-rated thing. You know, they had I think the extended cut of Batman v Superman is R-rated. I think.
Is it?
I don't know.
Well, wasn't the first Suicide Squad R-rated, or was that PG-13?
No, it was PG-13.
No shit. I don't know why I remember.
And I'm sure David Ayer would argue that there's a great R-rated cut somewhere lost in the ether.
Yeah.
The Killing Joke, which I'll defend the second half of Killing Joke because it's a very straight adaptation. They just have a completely original, terribly written brand new first third of the movie, first half by Brian Azzarello or whatever. I don't know, fuck him.
I don't know, fuck.
But yeah, like the actual adaptation part, great. The first third that was brand new and added on fucking sucked.
Is that where they have the weird like
bat sex?
Yeah.
You know, under a gargoyle on a dirty rooftop. Yep.
Nice.
It's funny because I heard all the outcry and I'm like, man, I'm like, this is as bad as everyone said it was.
I mean, have you ever had sex on a dirty rooftop?
Well, I mean, just everything about
not great.
the whole everything about the additional story beat is just bad.
I wouldn't say that I'm a huge clean freak or anything like that, but like the rooftops have like this like black dust.
Yeah.
You know, where and like it gets and
because pollution.
Oh
and
my
smog,
god,
and that's just collected.
terrible.
Yeah.
When I worked in telecom, like every now and then, like that's what you get covered in working up there.
Yeah.
Fuck all that. Ugh. Well, that and asbestos.
Get that up your dick hole.
Yeah, it does not make my pee-pee happy.
No, not. But Arc System Works making a DC-based fighter that looked like an Arc System Work game. That would make my pee feel real good.
I would like that. Mine's not a fighting game, but I had mentioned before we started recording that I would like Kojima to make a Resident Evil game, specifically like a full-fledged hunk Resident Evil game, where it's like it's a tactical stealth, horror.
Yeah.
I don't know how they'd mix, but I'd really like to see that.
And like as you pointed out, there's clearly been many games that have a lot of stealth-based elements with zombies. Yeah. Fuck, Last of Us is that technically?
That's basically what it is. Yeah.
But you were talking like having multiple different
factions,
of human, not just monster.
Yeah, you're sneaking through a city where like it's not just monsters that can't see you.
So, I'm gonna say like I think you're talking about not survival horror, but like pure stealth. Not a game that's about like you have to really, really, really ration every bullet.
Yeah. No, I guess survival horror is not necessary, but maybe like action horror.
Like because Metal Gear is not survival horror, really.
But then Last of Us, you don't necessarily have to ration bullets, but like you have to pay attention to your ammo.
Sure.
So I would say that there's that.
But Last of Us, when it's not a cutscene, it's kind of boring. The gameplay's not that engaging.
I enjoy the game. I enjoyed the game. I'm not.
This is the hill I will die on, where I'm just like the gameplay of Last of Us is really not that engaging to me.
The problem is you got a lot of hills you're gonna die on. You get a lot of them.
I think the cutscenes are immaculate. I think the mocap is amazing. The voice acting's amazing. You can argue till you're blue in the face about how you feel about the writing, but I thought it was at least well written, even if I didn't agree with a lot of where things went or did or whatever. It's an exceptionally high production game. It is well crafted and boring.
I don't think it's boring, but I like.
I hate stealth.
Don't like stealth games.
I hate stealth.
So you would fucking hate this game that I'm talking about,
and that's fine. It's not for me.
Yeah. So you don't like Metal Gear at all?
I do like Metal Gear. I love Metal Gear Solid. I don't like Metal Gear Solid 2.
Well, Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 3, though.
I have not played.
Best Metal Gear?
I have not played through all of 3 in one sitting.
Oh, you're missing out. It's like James Bond and Metal Gear had a baby.
It's all fragmented. My playthrough of 3 is like in fragments. So, and I do want to go back to that one day. And I know Max actually does want me to on stream like go through Metal Gear Solid 4, which I've never gone through.
4 is beautiful. I remember it looks really
beautiful.
Good.
And then 5 is weird, but I liked Ghost Babel. I really liked Metal Gear Solid. Twin Snakes. Yes, I like Twin Snakes. I like both. Eat my ass.
Eat my whole
eat
ass.
My whole ass. They're both.
Do it
great.
until his pee-pee's hard.
Yeah, exactly.
But
again, it's none of those games, as all great as all of them are, they're not the best Metal Gear game.
Doesn't
the
count.
Best Metal Gear game is Rising.
It doesn't count.
Yes, it does.
No.
It is Metal Gear. It is not Solid. It's Rising, and it is the best Metal Gear game in existence, and it will probably continue to forever. Well, I almost definitely at this point in time
Metal Gear Solid 3 is
continue
the best
to be
Metal Gear
the
game.
best Metal Gear game.
It's a really good action game.
If you want to talk about Solid, we could talk about is Solid 1, 1 Twin Snakes, or 3 of the best. We can have that debate about the Solids, but as far as Metal Gear, Rising is the best.
You're wrong.
No, I am not wrong.
You're wrong because
Rising is
it's not a Metal Gear game. They just put it in the fucking title. Okay,
it is a Metal Gear game.
Not.
You play as Raiden and you fight Metal Gears.
Raiden doesn't exist.
I don't see rules of nature. In Metal Gear Solid 3,
it's not.
It has Snake Eater, but it doesn't have rules of nature. It doesn't have I Am My Own Master. It doesn't have all the other themes
because none of those songs make sense in a Metal Gear game.
They do in Rising, and
it's not a Metal Gear
need
game.
to make sense. The game's amazing.
It's bullshit.
It's the greatest, one of the greatest fucking Metal Gear games.
That's bullshit. Because you know what it is? That game is a swinger game. That's a game that shouldn't exist. It's just a game where someone's like, I'd really like that.
It actually is a swinger because Kojima was so fed up with his partner making the game, his internal partner, that he literally kicked them out of bed and brought in another company, which was Platinum, and said, I'm not getting my fill here. And then Platinum's
me,
like,
baby.
holds like, I'm gonna strap you down, cuff you to the bed, Kojima, and I'm gonna ride you and rock your world. And so anyways, what I'm saying is,
and then a baby was born.
Metal Gear, what was it called originally? It actually
breedable.
wasn't called Metal Gear Rising. It was called like
Revengeance.
Well, it's still,
which is not a fucking word.
It still exists in the subtitle, but it was like Metal Gear Solid Rising. I don't remember what it was. It had technically had a slightly different name, and they were making it internally, and they showed it off internally. And you can still find the old tech demos from E3 when Kojima Productions or Fox Studio, whatever they called it at the time, Koji Pro, was making it. And according to Kojima, it was never coming together. They couldn't make the action game they wanted to make. It was slow and it was boring and it was cumbersome, and it just, apparently production was just not happening. And there's a lot of other reasons for it. So they actually scrapped it, didn't have a lot of time, and then basically pleaded and had Platinum Games come in and remake the game from scratch. That's why it's so short, because it's very, very, very quickly made. And then we got the game we got today. Because it was supposed to be an interquel. It was supposed to be between 2 and 4. It was supposed to be about Raiden infiltrating the Patriots and rescuing the little girl Sunny. And then Platinum was the one who said, "We don't want to do this. Can we just set it after 4 so we can?"
Yeah, can we just make a not Metal Gear game?
and Kojima was like, "Okay, sure." And you got the best Metal Gear game out of it.
It's not a
Senator
Metal Gear
Armstrong
game, but it is
is infinitely better villain than anyone practically in that series. Like, it definitely better than the Patriots.
Yeah, because American exceptionalism, we're the best villains there is.
It's so good.
You're goddamn right.
It was so good. It was so good they even stole his fucking line for the Republicans in 2016. He literally says,
"That's true." Yeah,
he says like, well, was it 2013? The game came out.
Well, he's mimicking Reagan,
right? Which is a Reagan line they stole. Where he says, "We're gonna make America great again."
God damn it! It's terrible. If you haven't played it, never play it. It's bad. It's not a Metal Gear game.
If you haven't played Metal Gear Rising, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's
you have good taste.
One of the best action games ever made.
Jetstream Dan is just dying in his.
Jetstream Dan agrees with me on this 100%.
Of course he does. His name Jetstream Dan. God damn it!
That game is so good. I want to play it again right now.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's a great game, not a Metal Gear game.
It's better.
It's just in the title. There's a lot of things that share titles.
You can stealth in that game if you want.
You can?
Yeah, you can stealth and get stealth kills and do all this other shit.
I don't know why you'd want to.
Exactly. Why would anyone want to?
Not in that game.
Why would anyone want to do
that game's not built for it.
No.
No. No, you know what we should do? We should do a Snake Beater stream.
Yeah.
We'll do it
through Snake Beater all the way.
Yeah. We'll have to remember so we can switch off. How many hours is Snake Eater?
It's on the longer end of Metal Gear games. So
yeah, not something we're gonna beat.
It's probably like in the 10 to 15 hour range, probably.
Oh, you think so?
Probably.
Yeah, one of these holiday
It's
days.
weird though, because like Metal Gear Solid takes like 2-3 hours if you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Maybe 10. First time through. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do a joint.
But there's also the cutscenes though, because we're talking gameplay or cutscene time.
Gameplay.
That makes a big difference too.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, I mean they're movies.
And with both,
So we'll do a Snake Beater stream at some point. Everything's about dicks.
What a thrill.
Snake Beater. That's the only time you'll ever hear me sing.
You love that game because it's 60s and Bond as fuck.
I love that game.
It has a Bond-ass intro, a Bond-ass song, and it's Bomb and Bond.
I do love it for that. I love it that he's basically MacV Sog, which I really love the history of that whole deal. He's supposed to be on a green light team and shit like that. If you haven't read about MacV Sog, read about those guys. They're fucking insane. And read about all the illegal shit they did. But well, they were. I mean, they were necessary, but also they did some dirty shit. They were American troops that had no American equipment on them at all. Everything was made, designed, manufactured elsewhere in the world and given to them, so that if they died, there was nothing that could feasibly link them to the United States. And they died a lot. There was the whole Chuck Norris series of movies about like
Delta Force.
Yeah, like going and getting POWs from like a lot of that. Like the inspiration for that was the fact that there was a bunch of MacV Sog guys that were taken prisoner who were just left because we couldn't claim them.
Yeah.
After the war was over and we got all the other POWs, there was like plenty of those dudes if they were left alive because they tended to have such high kill rates. Enemy soldiers would like torture and kill them immediately rather than
probably in their best interest if you're the enemy.
Yeah. But yeah, so I like it for the setting and all that stuff. It is also probably the most ridiculous of the solids.
Over 4?
Well, 4 gets ridiculous because 4 gets like super poetic.
4 is a fucking anime.
Yeah,
I mean they're all anime, but 4 is like just goes full on fucking anime.
But like
almost as much as the ending of 2.
The first one they tried to keep grounded. It stays relatively grounded.
Enough.
Comparatively speaking, it's super fucking grounded. Like, it's almost goddamn documentary compared to the others, you know?
Sure.
Yes, there's a mech and there's shit like that, but, like, it's all sort of in the realm of feasible, in a way. The second one...
the Psycho Mantis or so.
Yeah, but, like, it's still not, like, he's not, like, doing insane... You know, he's not controlling...
He is flying.
Yeah, he's flying and shit like that, but, like, he's not doing, like... fucking anime bullshit where he's just like crumbling buildings with his mind and bullshit
doing Darth Vader shit.
Yeah, he's not like choking you or controlling, like you switch controllers and trick him. You know, he's not Superman. You know, but then like you get into the second one and it's like you shoot a dude in the head and he lives. Well,
with a sniper rifle.
Yeah,
like a big sniper rifle.
He wouldn't have a head anymore. And he runs on water and okay, and it's a simulation.
Nanomachines.
Yeah. And it might be a simulation. Son. Who knows? Okay, gets third is where like this dude has bees growing in him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and in the second one also like the dude straps on Liquid's arm and
that turns out to all be an act in 4. Like
that's
Ocelot's doing it on purpose. Like it's all an act with him to throw off the Patriots.
Wow, fuck! Did I forget? I forgot a bunch of 4. I played a bunch of 4, but now that I'm trying to remember the story of 4.
I thought that was like the one sort of like explain this away was actually kind of good. That like Ocelot was doing that on purpose
to trick people.
So I was like, okay, thank God.
Yeah, it was fucking weird.
Because fucking DNA does not work that way. Good night.
Well, most of what's in Metal Gear Solid doesn't work that way. But like Metal Gear Solid is where it starts to get, or 3 is where it starts to get kind of.
I'd argue 2 is where it kind of derailed completely.
But 3, it gets stupid. Like, it's boss, big boss, solidus, fucking...
There is a bit of a weirdness to me in the spoilers. The scene where, like, you have to kill the boss.
Yeah.
And it's like this big dramatic scene. Everyone talks about how amazing it is. It made them cry, blah, blah, blah. I'm like... And the scene to me, you're gonna hate it, ruined completely for me when you literally see her scar... fucking crawl off her body and then onto snakes.
Oh yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
right. I forgot about that.
This was a great scene, and then it has this just stupid ass fucking moment.
Well, one thing that Kojima is really funny about is like he tries to get so poetic.
Yeah.
He tries to get so poetic, and I'm just like, well...
I kind of respect him for it, for being just like ballsy enough, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
He's gonna do it. He does. Obviously, anyone who ever told him otherwise got fired for sure.
Yeah, no, they're not around. But yeah, so I would love to see that bullshit, but in a hunk Resident Evil game. I was also thinking, like, in terms of a fighting game that you would like to see, like, I would like to see a Bamco, just like any of the Street Fighter games, but remade by Bamco.
So you want to see that Tekken Cross Street Fighter come back?
I sort of
do. Or just like a 3D Street Fighter.
Oh well, but that's
like strictly
more what I'm
just
getting at. Like 3D Street Fighter.
Well, but you're talking about strictly Capcom characters,
well,
like by Tekken. So basically, kind of like the Street Fighter EX games, but made by say the Tekken team. Is kind of what you're getting at, maybe.
Yeah, maybe because Tekken, like a lot of Bamco fighters, tend to be like, I guess I would look at them like arena fighters in a way.
Well, there's that. Well, they have a huge anime fighter division that does a lot of arena anime fighters.
And that's
but
kind
then
of where I was getting at.
Oh, so you want an arena fighter?
Yeah, I was saying like I want an arena fighter, but with Capcom characters.
Power Stone.
Yeah. Actually, yes. Yeah, that's actually exactly what I want. Yes.
But
and Kenny's the only one on board with it. But fine, all right? It's okay. It's me and Kenny versus the world.
Yeah,
he probably also knows that Metal Gear...
I actually kind of agree, because Power Stone was its own IP with its own original characters. But for people have said over and over, why didn't Capcom Smash Brothers this with their own IPs, like all their IPs? Like, why didn't they make a Power Stone game that had a bunch of other Street Fighters and Darkstalkers, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter?
I didn't realize that Capcom is who made Power Stone.
1 and 2. Well, I mean, do you want Power Stone or do you want an arena fighter? Because they're kind of different.
Well, Power Stone was an arena fighter that you could interact with objects in the arena, right? Like, I mean,
well, yeah.
And you could switch. Switch angles.
An arena fighter is a little kind of like cinematic, low to the ground, kind of like almost looking forward and up at the character, and you get like these really sort of intimate things. Where Power Stone is almost like overhead.
And Power Stone would also be like over the shoulder, right? It was more like because you could.
Power Stone's almost like isometric. 2, they started playing around with the camera a little more, and like certain stages would be like be side scrolling for a little bit, or like more zoomed in. Or
why do I have a memory of Power Stone where you could change the angle of the arena? So like you'd be fighting and destroying shit, and then like you could turn and like.
Well, the arenas dynamically change a lot in 2.
Okay, yeah. But, 2 might be what I had for Dreamcast.
Yeah, they're both on Dreamcast, but there's no manual control of the camera in 2. Like,
oh, maybe it just did it.
Yeah, it would just do it. You would get these.
To be fair,
you'd even get things where like the camera is like in front and you're running towards it from a boulder or something.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So 2 is like really dynamic. Got into that sort of Smash Brothers kind of shit. But yes, Power Stone's thing was that, and the thing that really attracted me to the whole thing was the interactivity of the arenas.
Yeah.
Right. An arena-based fighter, like the typical anime arena fighters, they're not really interactive with the environments. Like maybe some are a little bit, but not like Power Stone. Because Power Stone is constantly just grabbing shit and throwing it or spinning on it or whatever.
That's fair. I also just think maybe because Power Stone, I thought it looked good for the time, but like I don't know that like there probably were much prettier games than Power Stone. To be fair though,
I looked good when it came out.
It looked good, yeah. Well, I mean, most Dreamcast games did look good when it came out. Dreamcast was
so I guess
great.
Really the question is, do you want like a Bamco arena fighter, or do you want kind of just more Power Stone?
I guess I would just like more Power Stone. I like the more we talk about it.
But with all the other IPs.
Well, yeah, I guess what I want is like, I guess I would like Smash to make a Power Stone, but with all of, or maybe what I'm asking for is, I guess I would like to see Smash game, but with all of Capcom's IPs.
Right, Capcom All-Stars.
That'd be fucking great.
Yeah,
like the more we dive into that,
as people keep saying, oh, we want where's Capcom versus Capcom? Like, because everyone's always like, well, what do you want then? And like people are like, I'd be happy with just Capcom versus Capcom.
Yeah,
which is fair.
Did they ever do like a Capcom versus Mortal Kombat? Huh.
Ed Boon's always been super down with the idea, but
I feel like that would make a lot of money.
Never happened. It's weird because Capcom likes money. They obviously like partnerships. I think it's because of the fact that Mortal Kombat has not existed for sale in Japan since the Mortal Kombat trilogy. all that way back. I think that was the last officially released MK
Well,
game.
that and Mortal Kombat's way more brutal, I guess.
You're right. So it's illegal to release Mortal Kombat games in Japan. They have decapitation laws in entertainment media.
Wow. If only their newspapers from a certain time, whatever.
So that's why there's no Mortal Kombat there. That's why there's a small Mortal Kombat underground scene that imports it from America,
Wow.
in Japan. But like for the most part, it's kind of an unknown entity. Like they maybe have heard of it as like that uber violent fighting game in America, but otherwise, it has.
So we're never going to get a Capcom V.
It's unfortunate that Capcom can't see beyond its own borders, no matter what.
Capcom Cross Combat.
Yeah.
Combat Cross Capcom. Capcombat.
It would make so much fucking money if they.
It would make the most money
if they ever just did a Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat, and a lot of people are gonna be like, "Well, Capcom's never gonna be okay with someone decapitating Chun-Li." And I'm like, Ed Boon and NetherRealm are totally fucking fine nerfing MK to a teen rating. They did it for MK versus DC. They have zero issue.
Yeah.
With if it was like, okay, we're gonna make this Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter, but no beheadings or decapitations or like delimbing.
No breaking of ribs and
right,
zooming
like
in
no
and
no
shit.
no ultra gore violence.
Although I would be down with that. That would be cool.
I mean,
as
you
fuck.
can have like brutal looking things, but you can't have like these super gory blood spurting everywhere. And NetherRealm Studios would be completely fucking fine with it.
Yeah.
They don't have that problem. Now, obviously, some of the fan base is going to be, there's no more combat without people biting people's faces off. And it's like, you know what? I personally, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Okay, whatever. So you don't get like the uber gory fatalities. Just seeing Street Fighter vs. Mortal Kombat.
And if it was even halfway good.
Yeah, if it was good.
It would be.
A 30-year in demand, crossover. Yeah, it's kind of, I'm totally fine with it.
And if you let NetherRealm do their campaign style.
That's true. Would you like to see an MK versus Street Fighter done by NetherRealm, or would you want to see it done by Capcom? And that's an interesting question.
I would like. Well, I don't know enough about fighting games to make a call like this, but generally it seems like Capcom fighters are better tournament fighters than they tend to be.
It's weird. The tournament scene for NetherRealm games dies off pretty quick, but a lot of that just kind of has to do with the fact that there's a large casual audience.
Yeah.
For Mortal Kombat and in pre-apocalypse days, NetherRealm games starting with Mortal Kombat X have had immaculate netcode. They had great netcode, so people didn't have to travel and meet up at a tournament to get a proper.
That would be awesome.
The online was notoriously bad in Capcom and Namco games. So there are a lot of professional players who do not and will not play online because you're not getting a solid experience. But NetherRealm you are. So for a lot of people, it's like, I'm fine just playing online tournaments. I'm fine just doing this. I don't need to travel.
I paint the picture of the campaign and shit like that of a Mortal Kombat game where it's like the Street Fighter characters get invited to the Mortal Kombat tournament. Sure. Easy setup, super easy setup, whatever. But then the multiplayer could be, built by Capcom.
Sure.
I guess.
Sure, you could do that.
Using, ideally,
I mean, honestly,
NetherRealm's
there'd be a great thing to have, like, this because a lot of people work just on cinematics at NetherRealm. They don't do any, like, the nitty-gritty, combat design. They're doing cinematics, they're doing animations, they're doing cutscenes, and there's a lot that goes into that. And it'd be cool if there was like a joint partnership between that, where it's like, hey, NetherRealm is maybe going to be super busy with their next fighting game, but once they're done with their campaign, they can actually have them come and work on the campaign for this crossover game, and then Capcom can do the combat system, which to me that'd be dream scenario right there personally. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that after 30 years, like, it's never in no form of Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter ever happened.
And no one's ever going to approach somebody else at the end of an event and be like, well, you know what we should do? That dream scenario has already happened.
I will say this, as far as I want to throw this bone, and that joke's going to make a lot of sense real quick. I would like to see Bamco bring back Bloody Roar.
Wow.
Now, it can't happen, obviously, because you're talking about two big companies, Konami and Namco. They're not. Konami's not. Maybe Konami will. Maybe they would. But
is Konami coming back to gaming?
But Namco making a Bloody Roar, I can't say 4 because 4 did come out and it sucked. Namco making Bloody Roar 5, I'd be super down.
They just reboot it, just Bloody Roar.
Yeah, Bloody Roar.
You're calling it.
I would like to see that. I think right now there's not a lot. There's really nobody left in the 3D fighting game space besides Namco at this point. Sega sort of had Virtua Fighter, but Sega released like a 14-year-old game, re-released it with like new graphics. It's not, you can't really say, oh, the Namco or Sega's making 3D fighters. They just had Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. I'm like, no, they had Virtua Fighter 5 re-release with some new graphics. It's not a new game. You know, you can't sit there and say like they make 3D fighters. No, they fucking don't. But I'm happy that game exists. Don't get me wrong. So, yeah, the only people making 3D fighters anymore right now is pretty much Namco. So, I would like to see Bloody Roar come back because I like Bloody Roar. And I think Namco being the only people left, they should do it. So,
okay.
It's a very simple process of elimination for me where I'm just like, yeah, can we have some of the people who did Soul Calibur 6 or Tekken 7, can they come in and do Bloody Roar 5? I would like that very much. That would make my pee-pee feel real good.
Who would you want to make a new Rampage? Besides The Rock.
Man, I was thinking about this too, where I'm like, how do you make Rampage fun for more than 5 minutes? I feel it's kind of like...
You make it a fighting game.
I feel... Yeah, because there was that War of the Monsters game on PS2.
Yeah.
Did I get that right, or is that an SNK game? Whatever. there's a Kaiju based wrestling game for SNK Neo Geo, and then there was the PS2 game, which I think was called War of the Monsters. One was called War of the Monsters. I think it's King of the Monsters 1 and 2 for SNK, War of the Monsters on PS2. Yes, that's kind of the general way of going about it. And then of course there's the Godzilla games by I think it's called Pipe Dream Interactive. I don't even know if they're around anymore. Pipe something.
Which ones? I don't know what that was. Which one was the Godzilla game where you play as Jean Reno and it's just Siphon Filter, but with...
That exists?
But it should. It should exist. You just play as Jean Reno. They had him in Onimusha. Can we please?
How about you just remake Onimusha 3 and then pretend you're killing
Actually, I feel
Godzilla babies?
Yeah, in hindsight, sort of fucked up, really. I mean, you know, just let him have Manhattan.
Yeah, right?
We're done with it, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. People can move out, have better quality of life, really.
Oh, man. Yeah. I guess wrapping it up, would be, since we don't really have a new KI and we don't really know what's happening with it, is there any developer, even if you don't know the name, just, you know, you can name the game, whatever. Is there any developer you would like to see tackle KI? Like a new KI? Since it doesn't, the original dev is with Amazon Game Studios, and you know they're kind of doing, I think, New World or whatever, and then I don't know what's going on with Iron Galaxy.
I feel like the people who make Soul Calibur, which I'm blanking on,
Namco.
That's Namco?
Yeah,
Namco makes fucking everything now. Namco, they did Dragon Ball. They did
Arc System did Dragon Ball for Namco,
but don't they own Arc System?
No,
Arc System's done like several Namco games though.
Probably over the years, but
so Namco
Arc
just
System's
publishes Arc System.
Independent.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, that's fair.
They're contract workers.
So I guess I would like to see Namco bring back KI because that seems like Soul Calibur would be the next closest to that style.
I don't know who I would. I think I've actually talked about this with Max. Even like who would do if you could just sort of have anyone do, you know, a new KI. Who would it be? I'm gonna go with SNK. Modern day SNK.
Okay.
Because they have a lot of crazy stuff in the King of Fighters 14 and 15. And I'm like, I think their sensibilities could match well with KI's battle. I don't want the battle system changed in KI. Like, hardly at all.
And you think that would definitely be a thing?
Well, I think, you know, anyone who takes over a project is going to want to put their own personal stamp on it. Like,
yeah.
You're not going to get someone who's going to take over, say, do a brand new KI and not try to add or do something unique.
Sure.
Which
is unfortunate. Otherwise, you're not going to stand out.
Right. Which I feel is a little bit unfortunate because KI itself is super unique and does have one of the best battle systems. But for me, I'm like, yeah, if I had a dream studio, I'm like, I think KI done by SNK would be super interesting.
Okay.
SNK's on the up and up. You know, they started their comeback with King of Fighters 14, and then they had that Samurai Showdown reboot come out.
Oh, they did the Sam show.
Yeah, the
Wow.
reboot and stuff. So
Well,
I'm like,
I know they were kind
SNK's
of
kind of coming up a bit in the world. Like they're coming back. They're making their comeback, and I'm like, I would like to. If I was gonna have some wacky dream, you know, because a lot of people say, well, Arc System should do Killer Instinct. Sure.
They could.
Sure, that'd be fine. You could do that for anyone.
Stylistically, they'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great. But I'm like, you know what? I'm like SNK. I'd like to see what SNK would do.
SNK kind of fell off the map, and then when King of Fighters 14 came out, I remember there was kind of a hubbub of like nobody was sure it was going to be good,
right?
Because SNK had been gone for
so long, because there was a lot of bankruptcies and sell-offs, and then they were like bought by like
if Midway came back.
Yeah, kind of like that. Well, yeah. So SNK was owned by I think a Chinese company and they still are, I think. But they kind of went hard. They kind of basically left the gaming market and went. And it's a long story between SNK, Playmore, SNKP, and which is Playmore. And then there was like the other one with the E. I forget. Whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. They just basically went and they did pachinko games for a while. And then the pachinko market really started to dry up in Japan.
Yeah.
So I guess enough people basically within the company like, let's go back to video games. So 14 was their big comeback game. Like, we're going to come back and we're going to do video games again. We're going to drop, you know, all other names. We're just going to call ourselves SNK. We're going to bring back the old logo. We're just going to...
Well, the big change that happened there, right, is that gaming became the largest entertainment industry in the world.
Yeah, gaming didn't shrink.
Yeah, it got
worldwide.
nothing but, yeah.
You know, it shrunk in Japan, sure, but like...
And even then, only in one sector of it, right? Mobile gaming is still just as big as it's ever been.
Huge. And they have mobile games. They still have mobile games for SNK, but kind of like diverting all into pachinko, which is a very, very insular industry. Even when it was doing well, which is obviously what Konami kind of jumped into. You know, we're going out of games. We're going into just like pachinko.
How do you even fucking play pachinko? You see it all the time.
It's gambling. I mean, I've played it. It's I can see.
It's just like a slot machine, or
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
You know, you get it's like a slot machine, but it's like you see Plinko where like the balls drop and shit.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's
it. You turn a dial, blah, 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 a whole bunch. You just keep turning a dial, just keep dropping these silver balls, and hoping that they land in like these particular buckets or whatever at the bottom, which gives you a bunch of points or more silver balls. And then the weird thing is that there's this loophole, and I heard they're maybe closing it, where you basically you don't win money. You win
a prize.
You win a bunch of fucking balls, a bunch of these silver balls, and then you literally go next door because all the pachinko parlors are set up this way where pachinko parlor, and then there's this little exchange thing or a pawn shop right next to it where you go in and you give them the balls and they give you the yen for
cash.
It.
Yeah.
So
They're
not the same business. It's not.
They're not even owned by the same people.
Yeah, right. Whatever. So the loophole is like because you can't straight gamble in Japan, or at least not in Tokyo.
Weird.
I don't think so. Yeah, they do this loophole where like you're just winning these redemption, things. You're winning silver balls that you can play with and lube up. But like we could also exchange them for money. So
why do people think that gambling is illegal in California?
Kind of technically is. It's like
City of Commerce has a bunch of casinos.
There's all these loopholes.
Yeah.
And then I've heard their thing is like, oh god, someone was explaining it to me where certain types of gambling are illegal. So you have craps games and other games that are done with cards. Like card gambling's not illegal in California, but other forms are, or vice versa. So like you'll go to a roulette thing and there's like these cards, you play with cards and it's like this kind of convoluted system. But they do it to get around a loophole. Whereas in Vegas, you can roll dice, you can play cards, you can just, play roulette, kind of whatever. Like there's like this weird loophole. Of course, Native American reservations do not abide by
they're sovereign territory. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
My parents had this hilarious story to me where they were at some reunion thing on a big casino on a Native American reservation, and there was this huge theft. Like someone broke into the conference and stole a bunch of equipment, and then someone's the whatever, like security came in, did all their things, and someone told them don't worry. And I think they got it back, and I'm like, well, that guy's dead. I was just kind of like, well, I'm like, my parents were like, just call the police. I'm like, no, Mom, they don't call the police. They'll handle it. And she's like, yeah.
Well, they have their own reservation.
Right.
Police,
So my mom was like, yeah, that's what I told them because we were wondering if we needed to, who, because she was like part of the organization. I'm like, who do I call the police? Do I call like forensic? I'm like, no, Mom. Like the casino will take care of it.
Yeah, that guy knows who did this. Probably.
Well, that's what someone said. They're like, yeah, we have a pretty good idea. Like, and they said, don't worry, we'll get you your stuff back. And I think they did, but it was just kind of one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to, like, I don't know. Didn't really hear what happened, to the person they thought stole it. I'm like, I don't think anyone's gonna know. I'm like,
and that makes my pee-pee sad. On that note,
well, point is that it's sovereign nation. It's actually not part of America, technically.
Yeah, I don't think they technically can't declare complete independence, I think, or something like that.
It's some weird thing, but basically, do not fuck with casino security on anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. Don't fuck with casinos.
Especially don't do it on a reservation because they don't have to follow the same laws as California or wherever. You do not want, you do not want to be, try to lethal weapon to yourself out of this.
The number one crime a few years ago on reservations was illegally making ammo.
Really?
Yeah, they would pull trailers with like ammo operations and stuff.
Shit.
And make the ammo and then sell it off the res.
Video game mindset. I've always sat there and wondered this, where your body's like, oh, what happens in an apocalyptic scenario? And I'm like, how hard is it to make ammo? Because I always sat there, some games have crafting systems and all that bullshit, right?
Oh, if you have the parts, if you have the brass, the primers, the powder, and then the bullet itself, putting it all together is easy as fuck.
Because I was always sitting there thinking, I'm like myself, because I'm like, okay, yeah, video games, you always just find bullets everywhere in boxes.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there thinking, obviously, if the world shuts down, you have to make your own ammo. I mean, how hard is it to make your own ammo? Like, I'm I don't know, video game mindset where I'm just kind of like.
So if you have the parts, it's a loader, and you can get really nice ones. Basically, where you put all the brass and it goes on like a little magazine where it comes around. The brass is like the actual like shell casing that flies out, and then it has a powder hopper. It has like a plunger that actually holds the bullet, and basically you have the primer in the bottom of the brass, and all you do is crank, and as you crank, it jams a bullet. It pours the right amount of powder in and jams the bullet, and just drops the bullet into a fucking. Depending on how sophisticated your setup is, it can be like a little sand thing that vibrates to get all the powder to evenly distribute inside. Yeah, it's super easy. You can crank out ammo like a motherfucker, and that's.
But you'd also need the brass. You need the raw materials though as well.
Yeah, that's the thing about brass is it can be fired several times. You can use the same brass several times before
recyclable.
Yeah, it's the primers that are hard to get. The powder, if you know what type of powder you're getting and all that shit, you can get that, because the bullet's just a bit of lead in casing. So you can get a casing for that.
Yeah.
Fucking anywhere. But yeah, no, it's.
We have to go full Fallout.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the fuck you'd do that, I guess.
I just thought it was interesting in my mind. I've always kind of sat there and wondered that because I'm like, you just find, you trim a hedge and you find ammo in a video game. And I'm like, so. In an actual scenario, where do you get all that fucking ammo? Like, and what if you didn't have stores to go to or like major factories to buy from? Like, what happens when you actually have to make it? I'm like, could you make it? How hard would it be to start it up? Probably not that hard.
I mean, you got to remember the firearms were invented when we were a hell of a lot less sophisticated industrially than we are now, and all a bullet is a musket round where you don't have to do all the other shit. You're not packing it, it's already pre-packed and everything. So realistically, it's just somebody makes a cast for the casing, and then the casing, all it is it's a disc of bronze or brass that they punch through into the shape that they needed. I don't think it's a particularly complicated process, but
probably not.
Mass producing it's probably a bitch.
Well, yeah, that's true of anything. I know that's the true of
never
anything.
Tried to make a bullet.
Any resource in any survival game is always kind of like, usually it's a good kind of gameplay first. You're not just gonna find like perfectly good first aid kits just lying around everywhere, and that are and not completely like turned to dust, because like I was first aid certified for many years. Yeah, and it's like after a certain amount of years, a Band-Aid basically turns to a cracker.
If you store it correctly, it can last for several years. But yeah, none of that shit. Like
bandages, yes, even bandages go bad.
Yeah, you have to store them in like vacuum sealing and shit like that.
Like, the glue will dry out on them and stuff, and so like it's basically worthless.
And iodine is only good for a certain amount of time.
Exactly. Yeah, like the Resident Evil.
Yeah. Just soak that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never really thought about that, but I mean, given how many illegal operations are like building weapons and shit, because like that's the other thing is like. Making a gun, if you have a machine shop, is not that fucking hard. Just look at the World War II Sten gun. It was just a bunch of stamped parts that they nailed together, and we're like, here, put it in a pipe.
Yeah, I've been watching some history stuff about that. Where they talk about like guns that
highly effective.
Either guns that were mass produced for World War II, guns that were never really made it to World War II.
Yeah.
Because it just ran out of time, and one. Same with one as well.
Making a really high quality firearm is it's relatively difficult, but once you've done it once, no, that shit's.
And this is why I've heard the AK-47 is such a universally
because it's super cheap to make.
Yeah, super cheap to make.
It's all stamped parts.
And distribute, which is why.
And they license it.
Which is why, like, basically. All of everything, like so much of the world became like the standard firearm.
It's the rifle of freedom throughout the world, basically. Yeah. It also was licensed. So one of the things that the Soviet Union did is rather than go build a factory, they'd be like, you have a gun factory. Here is the schematics and like the marks you have to hit, and they'd make their own version. So you'd get like the Czech version, you'd get the Polish version, you'd get the actual Russian version, and that's where you get like the AK-97, the AK-75, the AK-12.
Also, apparently, like they're very sturdy.
Oh yeah, you beat the shit out of them. They're not super accurate,
right?
Because they're all they're slapped together.
Yeah,
shit.
They're slapped together, so they're a little. They're kind of
they'll run forever.
Yeah, they're kind of like peeing in the morning. Kind of just kind of can go in any direction sometimes.
It's you're gonna hit what you're shooting at within 100 to 200 meters, but also it's only recently that they were built to have sights on them. So it's like you're not going to fucking fire at a guy 500 meters out with a AK on iron sights and be like, I'm going to hit this guy.
I will in Warzone.
But if you're within 100 meters, if they're a football field away, you're going to kill them.
Pretty good distance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shit. Yeah.
I remember a long time ago watching some program with Arlie Ermy about future tech. And, it was a gun we were building to basically withstand anything. So they were like burying soldiers in sand and dirt with this gun, and then have them jump up and fire, and and go. Well,
they
in the
do
water,
that to all our rifles.
Go in the water and come out. Like they're basically like, this gun's amazing. I don't know if it ever made it to the market, but it's kind of one of those problems where it's like, tech is great, but man, if it costs money. Well, we're not super down with like just arming millions of.
The military doesn't buy the absolute best version of something. They buy the thing that can be beat to absolute shit and still operate pretty good.
Yeah,
like you see in movies and shit, like they're cleaning the rifle and it's kept in tip top shape. Those rifles are beat to fuck.
Yeah,
I mean, like you are the vast majority of people in the military have bigger problems than taking immaculate care of their rifle all the time. Like, that shit gets run over by trucks, and shit gets dropped out of trucks that gets covered in mud.
You want it to be able to work.
You want it to be able to get beat to shit.
You don't know what's going to happen. But I always thought that was funny how with like a lot of future tech, it's all this cool high fidelity bullets. And I'm like, man, my fucking Windows can't even operate.
That's
on its own, sitting in a room. It can't even fucking operate as the way it's intended all the time. So I'm like, I think your tech should be less about how cool it looks, how cool whatever doodads it can do on it or whatever. I think it should just be durability. Durability should be always your number one priority.
And generally it is. That's why the AK hasn't been replaced, and
that's why it still exists.
I mean, the AK-12 or whatever, the new Russian AK is supposed to be just a beast, but it's still basically an AK. It's still that thing.
And I imagine it can still get beat up because
probably. I mean, any rifle any weapon that's gonna serve in the military is just gonna get beat to shit.
Well, any weapon that can survive a Russian winter is probably
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Also, why repeating rifle? So bolt action rifles replaced repeating rifles, like lever action repeaters. Mm-hmm. The number one reason, even though lever action repeaters would perform better in all other ways. Yeah, a bolt action could be operated while laying down.
Right.
And that's why it won, because trench warfare was fucking terrifying.
Yep.
So you had Americans showing up with like Winchesters and shit, but you got to take a knee. You can't or you'd have to roll onto your side and crank it and shit.
Do that.
Yeah, and so like bolt action won, but like repeaters, like lever action repeaters, still great. Still wonderful. That and you have to have snub nose rounds and shit in them.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got onto that, but the apocalypse is basically what we were talking about. Okay, we're going to finish 2 minutes. You just say the name of the company. Who would you want to make an apocalypse game? Like a Mad Max game?
Apocalyptic. I'm running through my head of like, there's a lot.
Who could do it? Yeah, this is like who would make it good?
Well, depends on what are we talking. I guess it really depends on the genre rather than the setting.
I was thinking like Mad Max or okay. Who would you want to make a Last of Us game that you would like playing that wouldn't be boring?
It would be boring. I mean, my default.
I was gonna say Gorilla, but like they did.
Okay. They
did.
It is apocalyptic. It totally fits the bill.
Yeah.
I wanted Gorilla to go back to their FPS roots and make a fall Operation Enduring Victory game in the Horizon universe. There's all those things about the military soldiers basically trying to hold off all the robots for as long as they could to buy as much time as they could for Project Horizon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For Project Zero Dawn. And I'm like, that's their Halo That's their Halo Reach game right there.
Yeah,
they
fucking totally do it.
It's right there. Like, and they came from first person roots. Like, I'm shocked Sony hasn't asked for this. Like,
they're gonna do it eventually. The prequel is always what they mine when they're out of ideas.
I think for me, it's like, I would really like to see that. I think Insomniac would be pretty cool, seeing what they would do because they've done a lot of open world and Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, and all those
open world's kind of hard to do.
It is hard to do, but Insomniac seems pretty good, so that'd be pretty. But yeah, for me, it's like, man, where is the fucking and now that Guerrilla's basically reality is they're pretty much done with Horizon 2. That game's pretty much fucking done. Yeah. Reality is now they've done 2 open worlds with Horizon, and they've done a bunch of kill zones. I feel like, wouldn't it be kind of neat to see a first person but giant open world, or just very large area in general? Operation Enduring Victory, like Fall of Reach moment for Horizon.
They probably wouldn't make a full game, would they? They'd make a DLC.
They could.
I guess they could. Yeah,
they
totally
could. I mean, it could go either way. You could either do a shorter campaign, or you could do a bigger one. You could either be like being a very linear level one, short linear. You could do a big open world first person, like where
you're like traveling around trying to hold up.
Yeah,
but they lose every battle. They literally never win.
Well, they
have no victories.
Well, I mean, you could say that was Halo Reach in a way.
Well, in Reach, they win a bunch of victories. They just lose the battle.
Yeah,
like they lose the. I get, what you could do is every battle isn't necessarily about winning; it's about holding out a certain amount of time.
Right, and they say like there were some. They did talk about some like, oh, we're going to advance the line here, but it eventually starts just becoming like falling back. But I don't know. I think that is something I would really like to see, because the idea of like you're fighting a bunch of robots that are self-replicating, that are constantly harvesting material to build themselves with.
Yeah. So
you're in that kind of scenario. I don't know. To me, it's just kind of like feels such a natural fit.
Yeah, I think it would be a good one. I would like that. On that note, we'll end positive, so we're not talking about the apocalypse. Well, I guess we are talking about the apocalypse. It makes my pee-pee feel good. Good night, everybody.